Good afternoon, Professor Smith and classmates, or Здравствуйте, Professor Smith и товарищи. The topic I chose for my paper is countering Russian cyber aggression. There are many cyber threats out there, from hacktivists to state-sponsored cyber criminals. Russia is one of the most advanced threat actors in the world, with what Michael Boratowski, a senior vice president of the cyber security company Fidelis Cybersecurity, claims in his article on the DNC server breach in 2016, are the two most famous Russian hacking groups named Fancy Bear and Cozy Bear. He goes on to explain the significance of this threat with how the cyber criminals leaked those stolen sensitive documents online, which could have influenced the outcome of the 2016 presidential election, and are an indication of Russia's plans to influence modern politics. Cyber attackers generate an estimated $1.5 trillion a year from online illicit activities. According to a cybersecurity expert and staff editor at Dark Reading, Sheridan in 2018 states that this web of profit is almost equal to the GDP of Russia. One of the most challenging issues of countering this global threat is identifying who these cyber attackers are. The most aggressive and deliberate attacks are coming from Russian cyber criminals, trolls, military, and Russian state-sponsored attackers. Russia's goals for waging this silent cyber war are becoming clearer by the day. Dr. Binoy Kampamark, a former Commonwealth scholar who lectures at RMIT University in Melbourne in 2007, describes how Russia's first significant cyber offense took place against Estonia's financial, media, and government websites in what is described as a massive spam or distributed denial of service attack, or DDoS. Russia has also attacked Georgia, Kyrgyzstan, Ukraine, and also the US and UK elections. Canfield, a PhD candidate in political science at Columbia University in 2016, counter-argues that in the muddy waters of cyberspace, cyber attack attribution is challenging due to the various potential motives of the attackers. Peter Olsthoorn, a teacher at the Netherlands Defense Academy and published author on military ethics and virtues, in 2011 defines utilitarianism as the moral philosophy that brings about the greatest happiness for the greatest number of people. His take on utilitarianism with respect to conflict is that the civilians caught in the middle of warring nations are the people that are victimized the most. Nations waging war take a greater good approach in their warmongering propaganda, but end up steamrolling the victims that are often out of sight and out of mind, lost in the fog of war that they wage. This is an issue both in war zones that Russia is creating in former Soviet Union countries, and also in the obscured and anonymous cyber realm where Russia wages a new kind of war against those who oppose them. The fratricides caused by these two parallel conflict zones of reality and the virtual world often cause extensive damage, but is difficult to quantify and track. The full spectrum of damage is now being felt across the globe as Russia adds a worldwide cyber attack campaign to its aggressive behavior. It is very utilitarian for Russia and its people to wage a global cyber war. They will benefit from the government and private sector's secrets that they steal. They will also increase their standing in the world as a superpower by weakening their neighbors. This is all great news for the greater good of Russia's growth of power and economy. The Western world tends to show some restraint with human rights and demonstrate ethical boundaries, but Russia has proven to put very little emphasis into either of those. Stephen R. Ratner, a professor of law at the University of Michigan in 2008, reminds us that the importance of the Geneva Convention that protects civilians and soldiers from the atrocity of war, but at the same time, we see aggressive behavior that violates the Geneva Convention. Non-state actors like terrorists have no concern whatsoever for the laws of war, and none of that applies or is enforceable on the internet, where many countries, to include Russia, are waging silent wars. China and Russia recently called for a solution that will most certainly result in the loss of civil liberties. Lantis and Bloomberg in 2018 argue that to establish multilateral governance with cyber sovereignty will change the internet forever. A dramatic increase in cyberspace governance could be the solution to reestablish order and stability, but a loss of freedom on the internet won't come without a price. Another popular but controversial solution would be what Messerschmitt, a head articles editor of Columbia Journal of Transnational Law in 2013, identifies as hackback. This option to counter-strike hackers could be considered a violation of the laws of armed conflict, but as Messerschmitt claims, many Fortune 500 companies, to include Google, are already doing it. In conclusion, the challenge of countering Russian cyber aggression lies in the attribution of the attacks and the ethical and legal approach to solving the issue. There is no question that the threat is only increasing and that something must be done morally and legally to protect ourselves from it.